I can make the same amount of money profit-wise selling 500 books that an author who sold 20,000 copies of their book because of their royalty structure. The moment I realized that, I was like, why would you work with a publisher? Just be independent. You know, someone will say, like, Tyler, what about all the opportunities you'll miss? Like, I don't want them. Like, I don't want those opportunities. Well, yeah.
We're seeing right now what those opportunities lead to. They apparently don't lead to very much.
Those opportunities.
Hello and welcome to CultureScape, the show that interviews the geek creators and influencers that built nerd culture. I'm your host, Peter Pischke. A few weeks ago, the comics industry was rocked by a hashtag. Hashtag ComicsBrokeMe became trending on Twitter and social media after the young, premature death of comics artist Ian McGinty, who was only 38 years old. He was known for doing comic adaptations of shows like Adventure Time, Invader Zim, The Puppycat, and more. With the hashtag ComicsBrokeMe, mainstream comic professionals were finally venting their frustrations about the many problems of the modern comic book industry. Issues like low pay, poor working conditions, abusive editors, toxic gossip, and more. But not everyone was entirely sympathetic. I'm a bit in that boat myself. One indie comics creator dared speak out. He is with me today. His name is Tyler World. He runs the YouTube channel Draw and Talk. He makes the independent comics, including his latest project, The Plumber Girls, which you can find on Kickstarter right now. Tyler pointed out the hypocrisy of an industry that is featured by employees and insiders doing everything they can to not let anyone inside unless they have the most ideological advantage possible. Yet, when those people themselves are being manipulated and taken advantage of, and yet here they are to complain. But this point about the emperor without clothes did not sit well with some people. And so since his tweet just a short few weeks ago, he has had professionals intimidate him, people harass him, and even try to sabotage his projects and those that work with him. Today, we're going to talk about Tyler, the hashtag ComicsBrokeMe, the state of the comics industry, and more. Thank you so much, Tyler, for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
I know that was a bit of a mouthful, but no, I wasn't sure how familiar people were. I mean, the comics industry, for those that care about it, feels big, but it actually,
well, it's a very, I mean, the hashtag ComicsBrokeMe was a very quick trend. It was a trend that lasted 72 hours, and then like no one's talking about it anymore. It just happened, and then it's over. No one really cares anymore.
It did come and go quite quickly. I still see a few people complaining about it, but it doesn't have the same vigor that it did. Because for a hot second, like, people outside comics noticed, and then it just went back to how comics Twitter usually is, which is very much an insider situation.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so, it was very interesting. So like, I always, when people ask like, oh, like what happened with the whole hashtag ComicsBrokeMe, I always say that there was 4 stages to this hashtag. The first stage of the hashtag was, talking about the death of an artist named Ian, and they used hashtag ComicsBrokeMe because they were trying to say that, he was overworked and he died, and that's why he died so young. There's whether that's true or not, we don't know, but that's how the hashtag started. The second phase of that tweet of that hashtag was then, hey, I'm also overworked, and there's a lot of publishers out there who aren't paying creatives on time, which is really bad. And apparently it's also tied to Ian as well, because apparently a publisher owed him money. So then there's that. Then there was the third phase of the hashtag, and I think this is where like the most people jumped into the hashtag and like saw it. And this was, hey, I also have had a hard time in the comic book industry, and this is my story. And they never like related to Ian. Like 99% of these people didn't know who Ian was. They just complained about their own problems that they had, whether it was like poor page rates that they chose. Oh, I have to work on Saturdays, or like, I don't know. It's just like various like contractual stuff that they chose. And then the fourth stage of hashtag ComicsBrokeMe was hashtag ComicsBrokeMe, buy my book. And so then it just became then that one was a promotional. I came in with my tweet in the third phase because that's what I saw when I saw the hashtag at first. I was going through the hashtag. I'm seeing all these people complain, in my honest opinion, about their quote unquote working conditions in comics. You know, people saying, oh, like, in order for me to draw Batman, I had to take a $25 page rate because that was all that they would give me. And now I'm poor and blah, blah. And you know, I'm someone who believes in protecting your castle. That's kind of something I say is like, protect your castle, protect your kingdom. And like, for me, like the people that are inside my castle and kingdom currently is like my wife, and I've got 2 kids. And so like every decision that I make needs to go, is this going to protect my wife? Is it going to protect my kids? Are we going to be financially okay? So like, even if I have a dream to draw Batman for DC Comics, if they were like, hey, Tyler, we need you to draw Batman. We want you to draw Batman, but it's only $25 a page. That's going to financially wreck my family. Like, there's just no way that's happening. I would say no. Like, I would say no and just get a better job. And if I find out that comics just isn't where I'm going to be able to make money, that's like stable for me to like live the life that I want to live, then I'm just not like, I just can't do it. Then it's just something that you can't do. And my biggest problem with that hashtag was there was just so many people like acting like they had a gun to their head, telling them like, you better draw Batman for $25 a page. And it's like, no, like, make better decisions, like be accountable for decisions. Like that's just how it is. You don't have to draw comics to make a living. It'd be nice to, I'm sure that'd be awesome. But like, if you can't sustain that, then don't do it.
No, I definitely agree. And I understand what you're saying about the phases, because while it started about something serious, soon it was people just itching and complaining about like normal work stuff. Like, we all have to deal with this. It's like, no, you guys aren't particularly special. You're very bad at this. But actually, everyone has to deal with bad bosses and annoying coworkers.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, exactly. They were like, oh, my editor was emailing me at like a impromptu time. I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, everyone gets like messages that they don't want. Like, I had a boss, and at my publishing job, I used to work for a book publisher as of like 2 weeks ago, for the last 4 years. And she would just like on Sundays send me just like 10 to like 15 texts. Like, hey, what do you think of this? Blah, blah, blah. Should we do this? Blah, blah, blah. I just learned to ignore it. Or like, if it was that important, maybe take care of it, but then just we all experience this stuff. We all understand. And if you are in a bad financial situation and you're American, like, you can get out of it. Like, it's going to suck. It's going to be hard, but you can get out of it. And like, a lot of people said that was very elitist of me and said that I had like, you know, white privilege and stuff, even though I'm Asian. Like, what people don't, so like, the reason why I can say that is because I just got a new job. But the day that I took the interview for this job, you know, hoping I'd get the job, I had an interview with Burger King because I needed more income than what my current job was paying at the time, because they cut everyone's salaries by 20%. And it was bad. We weren't making, my family and I were really struggling with money. And I was like, you know what? I need to bring in more income. I'm going to work at Burger King at night. They pay $20 an hour at this local one. I can do it.
That's pretty good, actually. For
I
Burger
know,
King.
dude. Yeah, I know. It was like either McDonald's was like, we start at 11. I'm like, bitch, like Burger King like next to you is $20. Like, I'm going there. And so like that was me taking like accountability for my financial situation. I'm not going to bitch, moan, and complain. I'm not going to go to McDonald's and go, hey, like, I know you guys only pay $11 an hour, but I deserve to like have a base salary of $70,000. They're gonna be like, okay, well, like, fucking leave. Like, we're McDonald's. And so a lot of these people are acting like like they're entitled to these salaries and health benefits, you know, from companies who historically have never done this. Like DC and Marvel, it's always been work for hire. And it's crazy that, like, you know, it's been like, you know, 70, 80 years of the comic book industry in America with like Marvel and DC, and everyone's getting taken advantage. It's like, guys, the founders of like Marvel and DC were taking advantage. Like Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, these guys they made bad financial decisions. Like they didn't own anything. They didn't get any money. Like the comic book industry has a history of fucking over people. You know what happens when you work for DC and Marvel. Don't act like this is anything new. And yeah, everyone's still like shocked that that these companies are taking advantage of people when, they're not really taking advantage of people. It's just they get away with it by saying, well, everything's just work for hire. If you don't like work for hire, get a new skill, find a job that pays a salary and health benefits. It's not as fun. It's not as exciting. It's not as cool. It's safe, though.
It's funny because there's a documentary about Stan Lee that's a little controversial right now because Stan Lee always spoke up about the legend of Stan Lee. And so it kind of leans into that in the sense that like Stan Lee helped create everything. And the living creators or their children are like, actually, my dad, he worked on this thing. We have the son of Kirby who's speaking out a lot about this. Because I was thinking, it's like Stan Lee, he was often the guy that was the one taking advantage of the employees back in the day.
Exactly. Like, is it like someone was trying to make me feel bad about this, about the whole like Kirby situation, and they were like, these families, they've been hurt by this. And I'm like, yeah, like it sucks. But at the end of the day, Kirby made a bad financial business decision. Like he made a bad financial business decision. He allowed Stan Lee to like walk all over him and take advantage of him. Does that suck? Yes. Should these people be billionaires? Absolutely. Unfortunately, that's just like not the case. And so it's like, we can't do anything about that bad financial. Like if we could go back in time and tell, Bill Finger and, the Siegel family to be like, hey, like make sure you get some rights and royalties, in this, like we would obviously tell them that, but they didn't do that back in the day. They weren't thinking, business, they weren't having a business mind. They got screwed. Their families got screwed. And so it's like, when I see the #ComicsBrokeMe thing and I'm still seeing artists and writers getting screwed, I'm like, hey, maybe like we should figure out how not to do this. And I put in I bring it up in my tweet, and it wasn't well received by 50% of the people.
No, people went crazy for a hot second. And I thought you were because you were actually putting it very nicely. Because I was if I was you, I would be like, this is kind of something you guys earned. This is anyone that has tried to work anywhere near comics know it is just a gossip-riddled, rat-infested heck hole. It's so dominant. It is so taken over by people who are almost sociopathic to the extent it makes it hard to be a semi-normal person and work there. And I know maybe people exaggerate, and often people want to make this about wokeism or politics, and I'm actually open to many different political views for these projects. But less so than that, it's more the type of people that are being allowed in these companies that have totally had a disregard for these legacy brands, for this creative quality, and they've totally gatekept anyone that was, right of your standard left-wing Californian, and to the point that Chuck Dixon, the famous writer that worked on Batman, a whole bunch of other properties in the 90s and 2000s, I had a chance to interview one time, which was neat, and I asked him, why did you decide to go work for all these different people? Because he sometimes gets criticism because he's done work for people who are much more right-wing, maybe you would say alt-right. And his point was, well, they're willing to pay me. And he loved DC. He would be happy to do more work for them, but they just wouldn't offer it anymore. And he's a legend. Just a normal person trying to start, I don't even imagine how you get inside those companies. And so for me, it's like, look, you guys are complaining, but you're the ones that made this. You made this bed for yourselves, and you shot down everyone else that tried to warn you. I just don't have any patience for you anymore. But I mean, I'm a sympathetic guy, so I kind of want to go easy on them, but I really shouldn't.
Well, how you get in, and like it was very apparent how you get in, especially, with my quote unquote cancellation, is that you have to be part of the cool kids club. And what's the cool kids club? Being part of the cool kids club is you say what you say what we say, do what we do, believe in what we believe in, and you're friends with the people that we tell you can be friends with. And if you go against any of those things, you're not going to be in it. I have tons of screenshots of creators saying, hey, Tyler didn't cancel. We're just going to choose not to work with him. And there's so
Yep.
many people like, this is our industry and we're not gonna let him in. And I'm like, bitch, you're like the artist for like a D level like comic. Like I don't have to talk to you. I'm gonna I can go talk to an editor or someone above you, but no, the power is with all these mentally ill artists and writers who will be like, who will say, hey, I don't want to work with that person, cause all drama, cause a bunch of lies, and then that person doesn't get work.
It's such a bad environment that they have created that's pushed out so many people. And it's just the quality of the content. I used to buy comics every week. Even when I couldn't
Yeah,
buy them, I
same.
was reading them online. I haven't bought a Western comic in a very long time. I sometimes still will read because DC now and then will produce a decent Batman story. So I haven't completely kicked my comic addiction. But beyond that, I'm just done. There's just no point in trying to put up with it. It was a comic book retailer. He was sharing some of the sales data he's getting. He says they are even seeing, as bad as the Marvel and DC sales have been the last few years, that they're quickly dwindling from even that. So it's like one of those conspiracy theories where people say, okay, is Disney going to sell Marvel? Is DC going to stop printing comics altogether? And that kind of stuff feels more possible every day. The more silliness I see.
The only Marvel comic that made it into the top 100 graphic novels sold, so I think it was 250, was an Alex Ross Fantastic Four comic. But it was not published by Marvel. It was licensed out to another company that did it, that produced that comic. So Marvel gave this other company the license to do this book, this Fantastic Four story, and that's the only one that made it onto the list. No Marvel or DC book made it in the top 200. DC comes in at 270 with a Nightwing or Teen Titans graphic novel, and then Marvel, I think, came in like at 300. Like that was their very first entry into this list of best-selling graphic novels last year. So it's like, you guys aren't making the top 10s. You guys aren't making the top 100s. You're not even making the top 200s. Like, this is really bad. And the best-selling DC book last year was Frank Miller's Year One. Why? Because, there was a new Batman. There was a new Batman movie that came out. And so it's like, yeah, when you have these people who, one, they're very bad writers, very bad creatives, but they're in this industry and they're all fighting for work because none of them are getting paid. They're not making money. The sales, here's the thing. That's another thing that people don't realize is that these people, if you want better page rates, you need, the money comes from the sales of the books. You can't argue that you deserve a page rate if you're not bringing in money. I can go to my boss and go, hey, I brought in $1 million of new revenue last year. I deserve X amount of raise. And then they can go, oh yeah, based off of your merits and how much you sold, absolutely. These people don't have that. There's clearly a problem financially with these creators. They're not good financially. They clearly shouldn't be in these professions. And they're all I think they're all mentally unstable. They're financially unstable, which is hurting their mental instability even more. And yeah, they are, comics didn't break them. They allowed comics to break them.
It seems like there are a lot of industries, especially they're involved, their creative endeavors where they have writing involved. They're seeing similar situations. Comics is an especially bad version of this. But even we're seeing journalism, even gaming journalism, especially, we're seeing huge changes. And I have never tried to write comics. I've known people that have, so I've kind of been around it, but I have not worked professionally. So you know this topic better than I do. But entertainment journalism, I have moonlit and tried to do on myself, and it is just bonkers how people behave themselves there. And so when you see the ad rates are dying, and so the sites are now going with it because they no longer have VC funders anymore, and of course the ads aren't going to do it. Part of me is like, this really sucks because I actually like that kind of style work of journalism But on the other hand, it's like it's such of little value, and it's just they just took the plane and they pitched it to the ground. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to tell. It's like, look, this is reality, guys. This is what happens. We may not like it, but you kind of did this to themselves. But I don't know how to go from there and to remaking these things or saving it, or perhaps they cannot be saved. You work at which is I thought is interesting, is you actually do independent comics yourself. You have a rather decently successful Kickstarter going on right now, The Plumber Girl. So very heavily Mario inspired there. You want to talk a little bit about that? Do you have a feeling for like how comics specifically could be able to bounce back, or is Western comics just done?
Well, for legal purposes, it's got nothing to do with Nintendo.
Yeah, it's
but just I always when
right.
someone's like, "Is this Nintendo?" I go, "I don't know. Do they own the colors red and green?" No, but yeah, no. I have I do work in indie comics. I've put out 3 Kickstarters this year that have each done over 14 grand. This one's doing, this is currently my best launch so far, the Super Plumber Sisters. I also worked in the publishing industry for 4 years as a sales and marketing person. My role there was to do their online sales through marketing, and I took that side of the business with someone else from doing their website was doing $10,000 a year. We brought it up to $1 million. Every year it was doing $1 million. And then we expanded to do other stuff. And so like, I understand the publishing industry. Like I understand it. I've seen it. I know like what it works. And really what it comes down to is the fact that what we're seeing is the rise of independent creators. We're seeing the rise of independent journalists, the rise of independent writers. And I think these things are all really shifting and changing, and like the old ways are starting to die. So like my degree is actually journalism, and one of my regrets is that I worked at a newspaper for a bit, and I was just so appalled by the behavior there, the ethics of working for a mainstream newspaper, that I was like, I have to get out of here. Like I quit. This is just disgusting. And what I should have, and then I went into marketing after that. I was just like, let me find a better career, marketing, content. Let me learn how to do that. What I wish I had done though, because I am a really big believer in like journalism and good journalism is, and I didn't know this at the time, was like the power of being an independent creator. So there are a lot of like professional journalists who they just go out and they'll film and they'll talk and they'll start a YouTube channel and they'll give the news and they'll commentate it on it and they'll say this is, and then essentially they become their own Fox News and CNN. They create their own platform, and you're seeing the rise of a lot of these creators, telling their stories and giving insights, and very guerrilla style journalism being done through YouTube, and they're able to monetize that through either ad revenue on YouTube, a Patreon, Substack. So there's like, and so to me, like, there's part of me that wishes I had gone down that route, because I really do like that kind of stuff. I do think I would have been a crappier person though, because then I would have been like really into stuff. So I'm kind of glad I went into marketing. But what can people do? I mean, my thing is like, it's 2023. You don't like, why do you have to work for DC or Marvel? Like, why can't you do your own thing? And the counter, and you can make more money doing your own thing. And then, that's when the complaints come of people going, oh, then I have to learn how to market. I have to learn how to do business. I have to learn how to, speak in front of camera. And then they're like, I just want to draw. And it's like, okay, well, that's not going to pay the bills. There's all these other things that you need to learn how to do. And so I think that, how do you save comics? I think they're going to do whatever they're going to do. DC and Marvel, they're always going to be around. They're going to do what they're going to do. I think if creators want to thrive, like, start learning how to turn yourself into the product. Like, Like me, Tyler, Draw and Talk, I am the product, and I view my comics as merch. So I want people to be invested in me. I want people to watch my YouTube show. I want them to watch my content. I want them to engage with me on Twitter. I see myself as like I'm entertaining these people for free weekly, and then I can put out a comic every now and then for $10, and then people can go, hey, this guy's giving me hours and hours and hours of free content. Let me throw him a buck. Now, and so I view my comics as merch, and I view myself as the product. And I think if more creators start doing that, they would see that they don't need the companies and they can just grow and do all of their own independent stories. And the thing that I learned working for the publishing industry is that I can make the same amount of money, profit-wise, selling 500 books, that an author who sold 20,000 copies of their book sold because of their royalty structure. The moment I realized that, I was like, why would you work with a publisher? Just be independent. Like most of these creators, they get $1 a book, like top of funnel, if that book is sold at full price. And then if that book goes into wholesale, then they get 50 cents of the book. They get 50 cents per copy sold. And so it's like to make $10,000, they have to sell $10,000 to $20,000 books. I can make that same amount of money selling 200 to 500 copies of my book. And so like you can have a smaller audience but make more money, and I think more creators need to do that.
I largely agree with what you're saying. I think the growth of, especially in comics, but journalism to some extent as well, the creation of independent people doing it, they're making it for a specific audience. There's less steps between the creator and what's being made, and so there seems to be a better sense of authorship. I do have concerns for the mall in some places because, like, for example, for YouTube, you could argue there are replacements for what is gaming journalism, like Luke Stevens, who does a ton of really great video game content. He does like video game reviews, previews, discussions, analysis. He's basically doing what game journalists did. But the problem with that is like, one, the path to getting there is different. Maybe that's a good thing. You kind of need to learn how to build an audience. There's a different skill set you have to learn. The other problem is with these platforms, it always feels like it's just a little bit of danger, because he's like, they could yank the cord at any time, and then you might be up a hill.
That is that is the scary thing, which is why
up a river, whatever.
Yeah,
you have to be up a hill. I guess it's a really steep
that's
hill.
why you need to protect yourself. You have a mailing list. You make sure that you're on a bunch of platforms. If you do get canceled, learn how to monetize that. Go, oh my god, like learn how to turn that into a bigger story than maybe it needs to be, so you can gain a bigger audience. Like, someone called me an opportunist the other night. I'm like, absolutely, I'm an opportunist. If you're gonna do, like, I told someone, I was like, if someone ever canceled me, like that, like the moment Band of Bards called me and said, hey, because of this tweet, we're cutting you from that book, immediately I went, well, there's like the next 2 weeks of my content. Like I'm gonna milk this, because this hurts, and I need to figure out a way to, use this as an opportunity. And so, yeah, I agree that it's a new skill set that creators, and that's why there was so much hate by my tweet where I told people that needed to get better at business, because in order to thrive in this new world that we live in, you have to learn new skills. We
Definitely.
can't rely, an author can't just go with a publisher and make $10,000 to $20,000, sell 10 to 20,000 books. Like, it's just not a thing. Like, the average nonfiction book for a publisher is 300 copies sold in its entire lifetime of that book. 300 books sold. Penguin last year said that out of their 53,000 books, like they had 53,000 books that they published in the last 5 years that didn't sell over 23 copies. Like, this is hard. Like, publishing is hard. The people who are making the most money, who are the people who have massive social media audiences, but they're growing them. They're showing up, and I think a big problem is that people aren't showing up, and they think it's super hard, and they get scared. But that's just what you have to do. Brandon Sanderson, everyone's like, how did he do $41 million on Kickstarter? Well, he's on YouTube every single day. He's on YouTube every single day, pushing out content, engaging with his readers. We had set the authors at the publishing company I worked at who sold the most. They were all on social media 24/7, engaging their audience, giving them free content every single day so that when they came out with a new book every 6 months, then the audience goes, hey, you've entertained me for the last 6 months every single day for free. Here's $20.
Sanderson is great. I love that guy. He understands the rule with like Patreon is like promise little, but deliver more. He's like, oh, I just happen to have 3 books completely finished, ready to go.
Exactly. Exactly. He actually lives like over here, like near me. It's massive. It's massive.
I think even with news, this is something I kind of had to learn. It's like, unless you're like a really big outlet, pretty much if you want your story to get any oxygen, you just have to kind of learn how to market for yourself, use social media, how to get people talking about it. Because otherwise, it's like no one's going to check it out, and your outlet's not going to do very much unless you're like one of these really big legacy media outlets. And even sometimes they'll just let a story hang there out to dry. It's just kind of where we're at. It's just the world we're living in. You can either hate it, and I mean, I often do, but or you adjust, and you got to choose. So you could continue to complain, like many of the people in comics want to, or you can do something about it. And this is kind of the thing where even with Eric July, I have friends with people who work for Eric July, or people who practically worship the ground the man walks on. Maybe that's too much, but I am generally supportive of him, even though I have friends that completely hate him, hate his guts, hate what he's trying to do, feel he's taking advantage of his customers. My point of view is like, he has the complete right to sell something to his customers, and he does it very well. Now, whether I think the quality is always there, I think some criticism is sometimes warranted, but there's nothing wrong with selling product to people who are willing to buy it. And he fundamentally understands that. And my last point here with comics, we can probably move on. I know people are getting sick of this, but comics is not going to survive with the people who publish books that no one reads. Comics is going to survive with people like you, with people like my friend Vito, with people like Eric July, because they are actually printing comics that have a chance that someone's actually going to read and remember it and come back asking to buy another one. And no one does that for a Vita Ayala story. I'm not even sure anyone has read a Vita Ayala story besides like myself and like a few YouTubers. It just doesn't happen. So what are the kind of stuff that you've seen? You said that people went after people that you worked with, so people who've done artwork for you or something, and then they tried to scare them from working with you?
Yeah, so like amidst my cancellation where this tweet blew up, I lost my publisher. I then had and I didn't really bring this one up publicly because I basically threatened the person like in a DM. I legit threatened them. I was sent some screenshots of this person, and they were starting a rumor. I mean, to be fair, they thought it was real, but they go, hey, I think Tyler is funneling money into his campaigns through fake accounts, and that he's using AI art. Which those two types of accusations can really hurt an indie creator. Like using AI art, which I'm very against, and then like funneling money into your campaign, so basically faking the numbers. And so I saw that controversy, and I DM'd the person. I said, hey, like, you can tell me what you're talking about right now, and let's just squash this right now. They didn't respond. I said, okay, listen, I'm gonna bring this up publicly, and I'm gonna freaking burn you if you don't apologize to me right now in a direct message. And I just said, everything you said is false. I saw the screenshots. They're all false. Here's the explanation. I want you to apologize right now, because I swear to God, if you don't, I'm in such a bad mood right now because of this whole cancellation. Like, I will light you on fire. And this is a creator who struggles to like make money with comics. And I said, you're struggling to make money in comics. I'll make sure that you never make another cent. I will burn every bridge that you have. So acknowledge me right now. And so I was able to, before that controversy came public, we cleared it out privately. So that creator's doing fine. It looks like you have something to say.
No, it's bizarre though, because it is weird because you do have people that have they might even have any relationship or professional relationship with you, but they will spend hours, sometimes days of their time trying to ruin your life or trying to
Yeah,
make it harder for you. And I don't quite understand it. Maybe it's because they have issues they're dealing with, or maybe they don't have enough value in their life.
they're opportunists. I mean, they're opportunists. Like, I have a friend who, like, he unfortunately he was part of, he got hit with some stuff during my cancellation, and there were some people who used that, who didn't like him, who used that as an opportunity to also like pile on some stuff. And then the second thing that happened was that I had a couple crazy people reach out to every one of my artists I'd ever worked with, and say, "Hey, what's Tyler paying you?" Which one, totally none of, like, no one's business. The two, they're like, what's he paying you? Is he paying you enough? You deserve this. Does he have this in his contract? Blah, blah. And a lot of these artists aren't on like Twitter or Instagram. Like, I would see them in random groups and go, "Hey, have you ever drawn a comic before?" And they're like, no. I'd be like, "Hey, can I like pay you to do some some either cover work or just an illustration?" And these are just people who like to draw, who don't want to get into the business. And these people got harassed. Like, these crazy people found these people's personal Facebook profiles and harassed them. And those artists came back to me and said, "Listen, it's nothing against you. I like working with you. I don't want to get harassed. So that I don't get harassed, I'm not going to work with you anymore." And like, I totally understood that. I'm not angry at any of those artists. I had another artist say, "Hey, listen, I heard that you're selling my work." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you said that I could." And they went, "Yeah, but I'm changing our deal." And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, you can't change our deal. Like, I've already paid you thousands of dollars. And they go, "Yeah, well, so-and-so is telling me that I deserve 60% of every sale." And I'm like, "Oh, so I pay you thousands of," I was like, "Oh, I pay you thousands of dollars, then I sell it, and you think you deserve 60% of the profit?" And they go, "That's what this person's saying." And I'm like, "Okay, so great. Now I have an idiot giving fake business advice to my artist who has no business literacy." And I go, "Listen, I'm not going to do that." And they go, "Well, then I'm going to bring this out publicly." And I'm like, "Great. I can have another controversy." Like, now the new headline can be canceled creator who and that now doesn't pay artists. And I'm like, "Great. Like, I'm going to get destroyed once again because of false information. What am I supposed to do? Like, tell everyone my page rates, start like screenshotting my PayPal information, and I just was like, great, this can be a huge hassle. Talk them down to like basically like 20% of the profits I had sold, and then they just went, "Give me a flat like X amount of money." I did, and they went, "Sweet, can't wait to work with you again." No, like, I'm never working with you again. I'm never going to work with that artist again, which sucks because they said I was their highest paying client and I was the one that kept coming back to them month after month. And this crazy person ruined that my relationship with this person because they, freaking worm tongued their way into like making this artist think that I was the enemy. I had another artist that, last night say, "Hey, like, I got contacted and blah, blah, and I think it should be paid this." And I'm like, "No, that's not how it works. Like we have a contract. Like, you knew this." And they go, "Yeah, but I think I deserve profits." And I'm like, "I paid you thousands of dollars. Like, I am the risk. I gave you $1,000. Now I have to make my money back. I'm not going to give you a percentage." And it's just like, and I think that's a big thing with like the Comics Broke Me is you had a lot of these people who just they don't understand business at all. You don't get money you don't get a percentage of sales that aren't coming in. If a company is in the red when they sell a comic, you don't get to get royalties because they didn't get their money back, nor do you get a pay raise because they're losing money every time they use you.
Yeah, it's not the streaming business where people get future residuals, whatever that is.
Yeah, but like I do know that like with DC that they will give royalties, but the company has to recoup their cost first. So if it costs the company $10,000, once that comic book does get $10,000, then you can start getting royalties. But what we're realizing is that most of these books can barely sell like a couple thousand copies. And these companies are not making their money back. And yeah, it's just like, these creators lack business and business anything. And yeah, like, it really sucked that I lost a lot of really good artists this week, relationship wise. And yeah, like it was like it's one thing like losing my publisher. I was like, fine, I'll just do more independent work. But then when people start attacking my business internally with the people I work with, that pushed me to a point where I actually left Twitter for a couple of days because I was so angry, because I was like, you know what, I just gotta get out of here.
Yeah, because
so I left. Yeah.
Because they're not just trying to sabotage your business; they're trying to sabotage your personal relationships.
Yes,
some of those artists
exactly,
might be
and they
friends.
did. They won. I think that was the worst part, is they won. Like they did win on that aspect. Like they did ruin several relationships with artists that I'd worked with for several years, and it's like, oh, this sucks.
That does suck. People are, I mean, even sometimes the best people naturally are very much cowards, and I mean, some of the bigger companies have definitely, you probably know a lot more about this than I do, having worked in publishing, that some of the bigger companies have learned, like, you have a social media firestorm, you kind of duck down and it passes over. But to normies, to most people, you get that kind of stuff and it scares them, and you can get people to still cow. And maybe it'll always be that way a little bit, or maybe over time everyone will learn that, like, you just gotta ignore the crazies. But it still does work sometimes. Like, it still does get people canceled now and then.
Well, that's what happened with that's what happened with my book Coins of Judas that was published through Band of Bards. Is that, like, for 48 hours that tweet was hot. Like, a bunch of their creators, my fellow bards, the people I'm supposed to be friends with because we're all published under the same, they all were like, I don't want to fucking work with this guy, blah blah, fuck him, I hate him. And then, like, I'm in like DM groups with some of these people talking with them, like, still. But like publicly they were like, like they were joining in on the mob. I was talking to the publisher, like, my phone call, and I was like, guys, this is gonna blow over in like 3 days and no one's gonna care about this. And they're like, yeah, but this hurts our brand. I go, it's not gonna matter. Trust me, like, I've been here before. It's not going to happen. Unfortunately, one of their co-founders was very much pro canceling me because he was part of the mob, and he did the things that I was accused of. I was accused of being a Nazi, a racist. He was like, all of that's true.
It must be true. Someone said it on the internet.
I know, and his name's Chris. He's a fucking idiot. He's a fucking idiot, and it's like, come on, we were my tweet was about being good at business. And like, this guy's like, oh, like, like Nazi racist, like, doesn't ask me, like, he believes everything. He canceled their top selling book for a small publisher that, like, their third best selling book sold a couple hundred and mine sold several thousand. Why would you cancel your top selling book? You're clearly bad at business, which means you should probably read my tweet, because in a couple months, like, I just got off the phone call with someone and they're like, yeah, they're canceling like all these books because they're not selling and they're not making money. And I'm like, well, why did they cancel their book that was selling? Like clearly these other creators can't sell. I can sell. And they allowed the mob. They allowed themselves to be ruled by the mob, who they don't care. These people have all moved on. No one's talking about this hashtag. Like, the next, 3 days later, the mob jumped on someone new. About, the tracing thing, there was like this tracing thread.
Tracing. It's always either tracing or someone redrew their character from one race to another. Yeah. Those are the reliable,
no. That was
controversial ones.
The next one was tracing, and that one that got 4 million views. The people bullied this girl off Twitter because of her thread. Then someone like lightly shaded an African American person, and then they bullied that person. Then Marvel did the Secret Invasion AI. So it's like these things happened in these things get hot for 48 hours and then they die because the mob just needs something. They find something new to get angry about. And one thing that I was really angry about was, like, guys, these people might have moved on, but you just ruined my business you just ruined like a lot of work that I've had to put in. Like, this might have gone away for you for 48 hours. You just lost me a publishing deal. You lost me like several $1,000s. You ruined relationships with my artists. Like this has long lasting effects on me that the mob won't feel because they've moved on.
No, that's I think some of the people who are for the what we want to call cancel culture, one of the things they might argue is these things are like relatively quick, and no one deserves, to have a job or position. But what else is really quick? A tornado, a house fire. Just because it's quick doesn't mean it's incredibly destructive. It takes a long time to grow something, to build something. I mean, like these platforms, many of these YouTubers who, like Mr. Beast, the guy's been doing YouTube, how many years, how much dedication it took to get to that level. That's how it is for most things. These things don't happen overnight. It takes practice and work and experience and networking and studying. And people are so quick to destroy it. And it's so sad because it does blow over, and it could have been something else, but they made that decision. But at the end of the day, maybe you want to say, well, I don't really want to be working with people if they're going to be cowards and just throw me overboard. Maybe this is kind of good to know now.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to work. Like I didn't want to work with these people. Now I definitely don't want to work with these people. But now what they've opened the door on is that, like, I'll just say their names now. Like at first, like I was just playing it safe, being nice, but now I'll be like, yo, Daniel Callahan, like, f you, like I hope like your next project fails. Like they hate that they go, oh, like there's all these monsters, like they create monsters, like they create these monsters that they say are out there. I mean, yeah, I'm still pretty angry, about all of this stuff. Someone will say like, Tyler, what about all the opportunities you'll miss? Like I don't want them. Like I don't want those opportunities.
We're seeing right now what those opportunities lead to. They apparently don't lead to very much.
Those opportunities. I'll be in the hashtag ComicsBrokeMe. I'll be like, I didn't get a good page rate.
He was killed he died working on a My Little Pony comic.
Exactly. And what also sucked as well is I saw there was a thread in a Discord, and they're talking about me. And they're talking about they go, yeah, they're like, yeah, fuck Tyler. Yeah, fuck Tyler, fuck what he said, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was stupid. He deserved that, blah, blah. And as it's funneling down, it then goes, yeah, well, I mean, we probably all should learn business, though. And then it started going into like, oh, so where should we start, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, so it's like, fuck Tyler for what he said. But maybe what he said was right. We should probably learn this stuff. Where do we start? And it's like, you just like I give out like free business stuff like weekly. I even in that tweet was like, how do you avoid this pain? Here's 2 books on marketing that will really help you. They're always on sale on Amazon. You can get both books for $7. They're going to blow your mind. And it's like they bite the hand that's trying to feed them, and then they'll complain that they're hungry. And when they go, oh, where should we start? It's like, maybe you should look at the tweet that you canceled the guy on, or maybe you could ask for help. I have a screenshot of someone laughing at that this guy lost his publisher, like, fuck him. And a week later, he goes, hey, dude, you got any advice for me? I just sent him the screenshot. I'm like, is this you? Like, isn't this you?
I don't think that's cancel culture. I think that's a personality disorder thing, because I do health journalism, and there's a lot of mental health issues in my family. And some of the people who are borderline personality, bipolar, you do see that a lot, where like they don't differentiate between attacking a person and then later like leaning in for affection, because it just doesn't connect for whatever reason.
So these people are mentally ill.
No. Probably. I mean, in a way, I hope YouTube doesn't take me down. I don't mean in a negative way. I just think healthy people don't do that, and maybe that's because of the internet. But it's like you would never treat your coworkers at the Burger King this way, or most of us would. I mean, if we wanted to stay employed by Burger King anyways.
Well, and if you did, you would get fired. And here's another thing is like, these people would never say this to my face. Every person who was mad at me, whether they told me to kill myself, lose my hand, a lot of these people I was very nice to. Actually, all of them I was nice to. There's one person I was mean to, but everyone else was very nice to. A lot of times I go, hey, come on my show. I have a YouTube show. I'll send you the link. Come and say that to my face. Better yet, let's meet at a con. Let's like say this shit to my face. Because I know you won't, but know that I will. And I think that's the difference. Is that a lot of these people that what I realize is that my friend got affected because of my cancellation for being associated with me. He's like, hey Tyler, my dream is to work for Marvel and DC, and I said, listen, you do what you got to do to make it happen. And so he, even though he defended me a bunch on Twitter, the next day he's like, hey, sorry everyone. He's going to to the person who was like, fuck you. He's like, hey, like, I still like you. Like, let's support you. He's doing streams the next day, with someone that was like, I can't wait to see this guy lose his publishing deal. And I'm like, and I even said, like, why do you want to be friends with these people who are going to stab you in the back eventually? He's like, because I want to write Spider-Man. That's just what you got to go. That's just what you have to go through. And I was like,
it's honest.
Oh yeah, he's honest. And that's just, and by the way, that's so sad and disgusting. That's basically the equivalent of, if you want to play Batman or Batgirl, you need to go into Harvey Weinstein's like hotel room. Like, that is the equivalent of that in the comic book industry. Oh, I have to be okay with the bullying and potentially backstabbing and pandering to these people who could destroy my career and my reputation at any moment. That is the same as saying, hey, in the Hollywood, if you want to get a good role, you went to Harvey Weinstein's hotel room.
But the rewards are so much less.
And then the rewards are a couple GoFundMes, no health insurance, and maybe you get to take part in
You're
the
begging people online for money to get your cat food.
Exactly.
Well, it's just crazy. Do you think? I guess there's the last 2 points I'll make, because I know you're a busy guy, so
you're good.
We got
like 5-10 more minutes.
I was gonna say, one of the things I think that maybe makes you a little different is that you actually have a family, and it seems like from what people followed, especially working at the big two, I can't say a lot of them are people with kids necessarily.
They shouldn't.
And I
a lot of them shouldn't have kids.
I think that might be a fact, because it seems to me like people who have kids, that does change their brains somewhat, where they do think a little bit more about how this not just how this impact me, but how it might impact you. Because it's one thing when you're canceling someone and you're saying, oh, I'm just taking that single dude, I hate him, he won't be able to eat. It's another thing when you're saying, oh, I'm going to take the food out of that guy's kid's mouth. And I think, I think for some people that does make a difference.
You don't see Scott Snyder doing. I'll say this about the mainstream people. You're not going to see like Scott Snyder do that. You're not going to see like someone like Sean Gordon Murphy do that. He doesn't have kids, but he's very business minded and stuff. But you know what? In the indie comics realm, like there's a guy, his name is Jose, and he currently has a book on Kickstarter, and it's not doing very well. You. He's a family guy. So like in the indie comics world, it doesn't matter if you're a family man or not. Like, they don't care, because
That's interesting.
they go, if I can step on you to get an inch ahead, I'll do it. And so like, yeah, being like I know, like, a lot of the people who canceled me, like a lot of the people who were in that mob, I knew. I'd done live shows with them. I'd done podcasts with them. I'd met some of them. And I'm like, and like some of them for years. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, are you doing this because you actually believe it? Or are you doing this to get ahead? It was a bit of both. I mean, I got angry at a lot of people who said, hey, Tyler, totally agree with what you said. I'm not going to defend you publicly, though, because then I'm going to get attacked. And I'm like, well, then f*** you, because you're not my friend then. Because this really sucks right now. Like a lot of people are like, congratulations, like, good job, Tyler. You really were strong during that. Yeah, online, I was super strong. At home, in my car, at night, I'm laying in bed like, wow. I'm reading oh, f*** you, Tyler. I hope you kill yourself. Oh, like, I hope you lose your hand. It's like, that fucking sucked. And I dealt with it for 2 weeks. And like, I couldn't, like, no one was there. I couldn't relate to anyone. My wife doesn't understand what's going on. My parents don't understand what's going on. My sons don't understand what's going on. They're like, 3 and under. No one understood what was going on. And the people who did were like, I'm not going to defend you publicly. You're basically on your own. Like, that was an awful feeling to have. There were, I'm not going to say it was everyone. There were, I did have like a couple people who like did have my back. and stuff. But like some of like the big players that I know who could have like, defended me publicly, they knew that if they did that, their big, the stuff that they built, their big businesses, like they would get hurt. And here's the thing. It's like, I understand it, but still doesn't like hurt, doesn't, make it
You're human.
any less painful. The fact that, yes, I understand you chose your business over defending me. It still fucking sucks because I'm alone still.
I can't imagine that. I'm sure that was hard on your family too.
Well, it was really hard on me, my family. And you know what it also is it hurts the creators who I do want to help, because I do enjoy helping other creators. And it's like, gosh, like, do I want to put myself out there again and help someone? Like, all it takes is someone going, oh, I don't like this. And I don't know. It's just made me more and more recluse. Like, when I first started Draw and Talk, I used to have 10, I used to do like 4 to 5 live shows a week. I'd have like, 10 artists on the show, and we would just like shit talk about making comics. What are we learning? We draw together. Now at this point, I just do solo shows because all of those artists eventually burned me, talked shit about me, abandoned me. And so at this point, I just basically run a solo show, and it's just sad, like, that the community, the comic community is so toxic. Yeah, it's
Okay, so maybe this is a positive. So I have never. Yours seems particularly vitriolic, but I've had my own moments of cancel culture, where people that were close to me that said they were my friends, stabbed me in the back. And that does still, you put on a brave face, but there are moments of weakness or where you're thinking about things. It does get to you, because if people who are willing to put themselves out there, of course, are very passionate. That, of course, means that you're going to care about this stuff. I will say, though, that because most people are cowards, and this happens all the time. I'll speak for my personally, but I know for many of my friends that work in news and journalism, they have this experience many times, often too, where you will cover a topic and you're pretty sure you're right on it. It seems common sense, but it's unpopular to say. So I'll do a health story. We'll talk about addiction some way, or the opioid crisis of pain patients. I will I'll put out something, USA Today, Newsweek, saying, pain patients should still be able to access their pain medicine, even though all this stuff's going on. And then you'll hear from so many people. They'll message you. They'll be in the comments. And these are like, some of these people are big. They're like, you're way bigger than I am. And they'll like, I hear you. I agree with you. This is a great point. And you ask, so are you going to do anything about it? Are you going to are you going to say anything? No. But there are a few people out there that do listen. Some of the weirdest friendships I have made from people in like mainstream journalism are other reporters when they had a controversy coming down, and I was one of the few people that was going to speak out. They respect me for that, and we have like almost nothing in common. So there are people who are like you, that when you do speak up and you try to speak common sense in a persuasive and a very controlled manner, that do notice. And I know the payoff doesn't feel like it, but honestly, I think that bravery goes a long way. And I think those people who read your comics and know that you stand by what you do, they know that they can keep coming back to you to get quality content. If I read DC, and I do remember a time where they threw an artist under the bus and they started attacking previous work that they had done. Chuck Dixon, for example, they wanted to go and say terrible things about Chuck Dixon. That said, "Oh, well, I'm done with DC. Why would I give you why am I giving you my money?" And I think it is, in the end, over time, this isn't like a short-term thing, but I think over time it will be people like you that get ahead, and it will be all the cowards that fall behind.
I appreciate that. No, I believe that that's true too. It's one of those things. I don't know if you've ever seen the show The Blacklist.
Yeah, I have. I've seen Blacklist. It's like one of my most favorite shows I've seen.
Okay, James. It's in the first season. James Spader's character Raymond Reddington. He goes to he goes on one of his monologues about like his life, and he goes to the person that he's about to kill, and he goes, and he's like, what the lesson I learned that day, and he just gets like really serious. He's like, loyalty above everything else. And I think what that, this isn't, like I said, this isn't my first time where something like this has happened. It comes, every couple of years. And I think I've never changed. I've never flip-flopped my positions on anything. I've never you can't someone can't go, oh, Tyler was one way and then he was another after a situation. Like, I've always been the same. And I do agree. I think that the hardcore readers who follow me and stuff, they go, I know Tyler, I know that this is who Tyler is. He's not gonna flop, he's not gonna, pander to people. For better or for worse. This is who he is, and good for him for being that. And those people come back. Same way, I have creator friends who they're like, Tyler, that person, said something stupid. You should go after them. You shouldn't be friends with them. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? They were there for me during a hard time. And yeah, are they having a stupid moment? Yeah, absolutely. I've had stupid moments. Loyalty above everything else. I'm not just going to throw this person under the rug because maybe they had a stupid take on Twitter one day. I'm still going to be friends with them. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think people do like that loyalty. The amount of people who message me saying, hey, Tyler, I will not be buying anything from Band of Bards, the publisher, ever again because of what they did to you. Now, I will say this. The day that they make Coins of Judas #3, I'll be there day one to buy the book, to support them. My friends my friends who are still in that creative project. Still want to support them. But yeah, in terms of Band of Bards, they soured. They didn't have my back. They didn't have my back. And when people, are like, hey, Tyler, I'm not going to buy their book because of what they did, I can't even defend it. I'm like, absolutely, I probably would do the same thing. And I think, based off of a phone call I had, apparently there was the mob of people, turns out they don't actually buy Band of Bards books. The people who had my back, they do buy Band of Bards books, and they saw how they treated one of their artists. And from what I've learned from talking to other people, it sounds like they're losing more readers. They're losing more readers than what they were gaining because that mob doesn't buy their book. They were trying to appease people who don't buy books. And it just goes back to that saying, loyalty above everything else.
That's like the comic industry in a nutshell. That was the mistake they made.
Yes.
They continue to make. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, man, for coming on. Your YouTube channel is great. Congratulations on your latest Kickstarter project. I appreciate your insights. I thought it was a really interesting topic. I thought the way you handled it was brave because I know those things can feel very heavy when they happen. So I appreciate it. And we're going to end it here, friends. This podcast is possible. That's the word. Thanks to Bain Books Publishing and Young Voices, a journalism organization. Thank you to my wonderful editor, Chris Hollywicki, who makes me look much more competent and intelligent than I actually am. And to all of you, my friends, until next time, keep geeking out.